Snow descended softly on Christmas Eve, draping the tranquil avenues of the city in a shimmering layer of white that glowed beneath the gentle light of street lanterns. Nathaniel Brooks strolled leisurely along the pavement, his luxurious navy overcoat shielding him from the chill as he held a solitary bag with his simple meal for one. At 34, Nathaniel had forged a vast empire in technology and investments. His lavish penthouse towered over the skyline. His wealth surpassed what most could fathom, and his name graced the pages of finance journals. Yet tonight, on Christmas Eve, the ache of his loneliness pressed heavier than ever. The festive lights decorating every shopfront seemed to taunt his solitude. Families rushed by, wrapped in warm hugs, heading to joyful gatherings he had never truly known. Nathaniel had grown up in foster homes, shifting from place to place, never lingering long enough to grasp the meaning of family or the warmth of holidays. As he rounded the corner onto Elm Avenue, something peculiar drew his gaze. A tiny figure sat alone on the steps of the old community hall, barely noticeable amid the falling snow. As Nathaniel approached, he saw it was a young girl, perhaps 5 or 6, dressed in a lovely rose-colored gown with delicate embroidery and a cozy knit sweater that seemed crafted with care. Her golden hair was neatly braided with tiny ribbon accents, and despite the cold, she sat motionless, as if awaiting someone special. Nathaniel slowed his steps, worried about why a child would be alone on such a night. "Hello," Nathaniel said softly, nearing the steps. "Are you okay?" The little girl lifted her head, revealing the most captivating green eyes he had ever seen. There was something oddly familiar about her face, though he was certain they had never met. She regarded him for a moment with the thoughtful look children have when making weighty choices. "My name is Charlotte," she said quietly, her voice steady despite the chill. "I've been waiting for someone." Nathaniel knelt to meet her gaze. "Charlotte, that's a lovely name. I'm Nathaniel. Who are you waiting for? Where are your parents?" Charlotte's small face clouded with sorrow, and she glanced down at her hands, neatly folded in her lap. "My mummy passed away 3 months ago. I stay with Mrs. Larson now, but she had to go to the hospital tonight because her heart was aching." Nathaniel's chest tightened with empathy. This young girl was enduring a loneliness he knew all too well, but at an age when no child should bear such pain. "Charlotte, you shouldn't be out here in the cold. Is there someone I can contact?" Charlotte shook her head slowly. "Mrs. Larson said a social worker will come tomorrow to take me to a new home, but tonight is Christmas Eve, and I don't want to be alone in an empty house." She looked up at Nathaniel with those striking green eyes, and her next words stole his breath. "Can you be my daddy for one night, just until Christmas is over?" Nathaniel felt the world pause around him. This brave little girl, facing abandonment and uncertainty, was asking him to be the family she so desperately craved. The request was so pure, so heart-wrenchingly sincere, that Nathaniel was speechless for several moments. "Charlotte," he said at last, his voice softer than ever before, "that's a very special request, but I don't know much about being a daddy." Charlotte smiled for the first time, her face glowing like sunlight piercing through clouds. "I don't know much about having a daddy either. Maybe we can learn together." Her smile stirred a memory Nathaniel had long buried. Suddenly he was 7. Again, sitting in a social worker's office, hearing a kind woman explain that his mother would not return. He recalled the fear, the confusion, and the desperate hope that someone would choose him. "All right, Charlotte," Nathaniel said, surprising himself with his choice. "I'd be honored to be your daddy for Christmas Eve, but first, we need to get you warm." Charlotte's face radiated joy as she stood and slipped her small hand into his larger one. "Thank you, Mr. Nathaniel. I knew you were the right person when I saw you coming down the street." Nathaniel guided Charlotte to his car, settling her into the passenger seat and turning on the heater to keep her cozy. As they drove through the snowy city, Charlotte chatted cheerfully about Christmas traditions she shared with her mother, and Nathaniel found himself smiling genuinely for the first time in months. "Where are we going?" Charlotte asked as they entered the parking garage of Nathaniel's building. "To my home," Nathaniel answered. "I live in an apartment upstairs. It's not much for Christmas, but it's warm and safe." When they reached Nathaniel's penthouse, Charlotte's eyes widened with awe. The towering windows offered a stunning view of the city's lights, and despite the absence of holiday decorations, the space felt enchanting with the snow falling outside. "It's like a palace in the sky," Charlotte whispered. Nathaniel realized that this grand apartment, which had always felt empty and cold, suddenly felt alive with Charlotte's presence. Her wonder and delight filled the space with a warmth he had never known. "Charlotte, are you hungry? I was planning to eat dinner and I'd love to share." Charlotte nodded eagerly. "Mommy always said Christmas Eve dinner should be special." Nathaniel glanced at the modest meal he had bought for himself and knew it wouldn't be special enough for this extraordinary girl. "Would you like to help me make something better? Something perfect for Christmas Eve?" For the next 2 hours, Nathaniel and Charlotte worked side by side in his kitchen, crafting a feast from ingredients in his well-stocked refrigerator. Charlotte was a wonderful helper, carefully measuring ingredients and sharing stories of cooking with her mother. As they cooked, Nathaniel opened up about his own childhood, sharing memories he had never voiced before. Charlotte listened with the pure attention only a child can offer, accepting his stories without judgment and offering comfort with simple insights about how people find each other when they need to. "Mr. Nathaniel," Charlotte said as they sat down to enjoy their Christmas Eve feast, "do you think my mommy can see us now?" Nathaniel pondered the question carefully. "I believe those who love us never truly leave. They live on in our hearts and in the love we share with others." Though Charlotte smiled and reached across the table to pat his hand, "Then I think she'd be glad we found each other tonight." After dinner, they sat by the large windows, watching the snow blanket Thessity. Charlotte nestled against Nathaniel's side, and he gently stroked her hair, amazed at how natural it felt to comfort her. "Mr. Nathaniel," Charlotte said sleepily, "I don't have any gifts to give you for Christmas. Charlotte, you've already given me the greatest gift I've ever received." "What's that?" Nathaniel looked at her trusting face and realized the truth of his words. "You've shown me what it feels like to be needed, to be chosen, to matter to someone." Charlotte smiled and snuggled closer. "And you've shown me that even when you feel all alone, someone might come along just when you need them most." The next morning, Nathaniel woke to find Charlotte still sleeping peacefully beside him on the couch. During the night, he had draped a soft blanket over her, and she looked like an angel in the morning light. When Charlotte stirred, she looked around with brief confusion before recalling where she was. Then her face lit up with that radiant smile that had already transformed Nathaniel's life. "Merry Christmas, Daddy Nathaniel," she said softly. "Merry Christmas, Charlotte," he replied, meaning it more than any words he'd ever spoken. Later that morning, the social worker arrived as planned. Nathaniel had called ahead to explain the situation and to make a request that surprised even himself. He wanted to start the process of becoming Charlotte's legal guardian. "I know this seems sudden," Nathaniel told the social worker, "but sometimes you know something is right from the very first moment. Charlotte needs a family, and I need her just as much as she needs me." 6 months later, the adoption was complete. Nathaniel had turned his penthouse into a true home, filled with Charlotte's drawings on their refrigerator, toys scattered in the living room, and the kind of warmth that comes only from shared love and laughter. On their first Christmas together as an official family, Charlotte and Nathaniel sat by the same windows where they had spent that first magical night. "Daddy," Charlotte said, now fully at ease with the title. Do you remember when I asked you to be my daddy for one night? I'll never forget it, Nathaniel replied, hugging her close. Charlotte looked up at him with those same captivating green eyes that had stolen his heart on a snowy Christmas Eve. I think maybe I knew that one night would turn into forever. Nathaniel smiled, realizing now that the little girl waiting on those steps had not been waiting for just anyone. She had been waiting for him, just as he had been searching for her without knowing it. Sometimes, he thought, the greatest gifts come disguised as chance meetings on cold winter nights. Sometimes a lonely child and a lonely adult can save each other, simply by choosing to open their hearts to the possibility of love. And sometimes Christmas miracles happen not with magic, but with the simple choice to answer when someone asks, "Can you be my